Good morning, afternoon, and night. Welcome back to the Grinder, folks. We are rocking and rolling, scooting and booting, grinding and
gunning.
We are here to bring you some more knowledge for this week, and hopefully something you guys can share out to your friends and family, or maybe that's somebody you don't. I want you to. Here's my request. Okay, from me to you, the person listening. I want you to go to your phone. I want you to go to this podcast, whether it's on Spotify or Apple. Okay? I want you to pick the episode, whether it's this episode or another episode. I want you to click the share button. And then when it pulls up text message, I want you to click text message. Okay? From that text message, I want you to type a random ass number in the top and just push send.
That's actually a pretty good idea.
That's what I want you to do. That would help me massively. And it would help James massively. And it would also help us make more content because hopefully, in the grand scheme of things, we get to touch more people in the correct way.
That's a pretty good idea. When we finish recording this, I'm going to do that.
I'm going to do it too. We'll just see what happens.
Just see what happens.
Yeah. Hopefully it's hopefully you're on an iPhone. And if you're on an iPhone, hopefully that other person has a blue text message. Does green text or do green text messages piss you off? You have an iPhone.
I have an iPhone. If I get just a regular, I guess that's an SMS. Is that correct? No, I wouldn't say it pisses me off. I just think they're beneath me.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
I'm kidding.
Well, here's the thing. Okay? In the world of iPhone versus Android, it's very important to have an iPhone because of the iMessage. The iMessage is the king of messaging. Point blank. If I text you and you have a green on your phone or green on your message, I'm just not that interested.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But if that message, that iMessage is blue, oh, I'll talk to you on it.
Yeah.
It's just I know it's delivered. I know it's been sent, and I know that my point has come across.
Yeah.
And also group text. What is your opinion on group text?
I'm not a fan of group text messages unless it's a really fun group.
So anything
but that still has its limits.
Anything involved with me in my team.
Say that again.
Anything that has to do with me, you love.
Yeah, you got it. That's it. As long as Addison's in the group text, that's all that matters, I guess.
That's all that matters at the end of the day. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, as a company, I don't know if I can say this out loud, but I'm going to. And hypothetically, if you have a green, like if you come in for an interview and you have a green phone, what would you say? I don't like you. Hypothetically, James.
Hypothetically.
Because we run an entire group message off of iPhones, right? Blue messages.
You talk about internal communication with the company. Y'all use. Oh, that's
everybody.
Yeah, because I guess everybody's kind of all over the place all the time, right?
Yeah,
that makes sense. We use Slack.
Yes, so we use Trello to keep everybody on board, but it's important to have a group message of like just an ongoing thing that people keep updates or shit that's going on, pictures, whatever.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Yeah, Slack is what we've stuck with. It's been a good tool, but just the sheer volume. So like in a week, we'll have 3,200 messages average. We average around like 3,200 messages. So and I get that weekly update. So
Yeah, this is more based off of like team bonding, team communication.
yeah, no, I'm with you. I think that's great, dude. I think, hey, as long as you got something, communication is key. Hey, before we get into that though, you were starting to tell me about a book. What book was this?
Oh man, yeah. So recently, was listening to a podcast, and it's not the normal podcast that I listen to. It's not, I just jumped on, right? Um, but the folks that were on it and the conversations that were happening were not just um, the normal conversation of business or mindset or whatever.
Mhm.
But they mentioned a book. It's called The Seven Spiritual Laws of Success, a practical guide to the fulfillment of your dreams. Mentioned the book. And I was like, the way that they were talking about this book, like it was a key to a lot. And I was like, I have not read that book. Pulled it up on Amazon. It was $12. I was like, I'll give it a shot. I'll read the first page, whatever. I bought it on Monday. I'm almost done. Literally sitting in my office in the morning before I start my day, before I get on the emails, before I get on everything. I sit in my little chair and I read a chapter out of the book, or however much I need to read that day. I will get sucked into this, and the way that it brings up thoughts and the way that it makes you think is it's a lot of what we talked about on our podcast. It's a lot of like the mindset, the change in certain things times 10, but practical knowledge and like 1, 2, 3, 4 steps of how to apply.
Nice.
James, there's not too many books. A few Jocko books that I've taken highlighters to.
Yeah, dude, you're in that one, aren't you?
Dude, multiple pages, multiple things on each page that I've highlighted that I need to connect with. And it's not woo woo. It's not it's not anything crazy. If there was a book that I wish I had that I know that I would have connected with when I was 25, 24, 18 maybe, if you could have gotten me to read it, this would have been the book to hand me. Genuinely. This is the book that above discipline equals free, or extreme ownership, above extreme ownership.
Man, I think that's the thing. Like, there's certain books you connect with. There's 2 books off the top of my head. Be Obsessed or Be Average. I love that Grant Cardone book. It's just good, man. I connect with it. And then the second one is Gary Keller's book, The One Thing. That book, I comprehend the information so easy. Like it syncs with the way I think. And so here's the thing though. You got the shitload of stuff highlighted in that book. That's a lot of information to digest, right? Yeah. How many times a year do you think you need to consume that book?
Genuinely, probably 3 times. 3 times.
Yeah, right. Like it needs to be an ongoing thing. Yeah. And that's one thing I've realized that I didn't do well. I'd have a book and it really I connected with what was being said in the book, and it was great information, and I felt like I needed to apply it. And then I would read it once and set it to the side.
Yep.
I don't remember a tenth of what I highlighted or underlined or made notes in the margins on. And then I don't go back to it. It's useless.
And it's about the retention of the knowledge that you're bringing in. And something that I didn't necessarily think about, like what you're saying. Like there's certain books that I've listened to twice. Extreme Ownership, The Field Manual, and Leadership Strategies and Tactics. I read the book and I listened to the book. There's not too many books that have connected with me in a certain way that I'm like, okay, I need to listen to that again. This book will probably be a forever book in my life.
Yeah.
and it's only like 111 pages. It's not that thick of a book for someone who wants to quickly digest some knowledge and learn something, and then be able to, apply something in each chapter to that day,
Yeah.
to that week, to that month, to the year. And it's helped me through a few different situations that I've currently put myself in.
Mhm.
And it makes you think about, like, the universe is God, the universe. It's all the same. It's all relatively the same thing, right? In the sense of, we're all made up of the same things. We're all made up of atoms. We're all made up of hydrogen, oxygen. Like, there's so many things. Me and this cup are the same. The only thing that changes is my intent, my consciousness, and and the ability to have like a nervous system that I can control my body.
Mm-hmm.
Furthering, it goes a lot deeper than that, but that's a lot of it, right? And being aware and being present, that's something that we've talked about, and it's a lot of work that I've done on myself over the past year or two. But this has taken it to a different realm.
Yeah.
And I find myself actually being present in certain things. Whereas normally I'll just, you'll be walking and then catch a sunset and you'll be like, "Ooh, there's a pretty sunset," and then move on. This morning I walked outside and I was like, "Damn, it's fucking beautiful." Like, wow. And just took it in. And then I
Yeah.
got in my truck and I went to work.
Mm-hmm.
And then just taking certain moments out of your day to just actually genuinely be in a conversation with, like this. So it's a cool book. I would suggest that. Is there? You said the Gary Keller book. Uh,
Yeah. The one thing
One Thing.
I really enjoyed that book. I mean, it just, Morgan bought me that for Christmas, and man, I chewed through that thing, and it's been a good book. I like to go back to it.
Yeah,
I really enjoy the way he thinks and just the way he processes information, the way he puts out his information. It's a great book.
it is. Me being so in depth with Keller Williams. For those of you that don't know, that's the company that Gary Keller owns. A lot of what Gary Keller is and who he is transitions into the company pretty deeply. Um, and they call it drinking the Kool-Aid, the Keller Williams Kool-Aid. It's a lot of information. It's a lot of positive mindset.
Mm-hmm.
It can also be a little bit overwhelming for someone who doesn't necessarily think that way or feel that way or whatever. But that's a really good introduction, and that's like the first book that they give you when you sign up. Is the one thing.
I mean, it's a good idea. I mean, that's a great book. But you just said that about positive mindset. I I think if some people, they're like, that's just too positive, or that's Pollyannish or whatever. Like, what if you just realize there's multiple views to one thing?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe one's positive, maybe one's negative, maybe one's neat. You know what I'm saying? It's not even focused on positive or negative. Like, the point is that there's 100 different ways to look at the same situation. And your past is going to determine how you look at it, because that's what you have to go off of. That's the way we're programmed. That's the way we're built. That's the way our mind works. Past experiences teach us, right? The stove's hot. I burnt my freaking hand. I don't touch it again. Right? You've had people tell you stuff was a bad idea, Addison, and you did it anyways because you hadn't experienced it yet.
Damn straight.
Everybody has, right? Like, I mean, our whole system of how we use services and things is based off reviews, like how we look at what other people thought about it from their, like, everything's based on a viewpoint. So you need to be open to the fact that your viewpoint is not the only way to see something.
That's true.
Then maybe you can step outside the picture, step outside the frame so you can see the picture and maybe look at something different. You mentioned Jocko. Jocko he talks about detaching, right? Stepping back off the line so you can see what's actually going on, because you get tunnel vision the way you think it is.
Which is very hard to do.
Yes.
In many situations, especially when it's a situation that you are personally involved with. And I didn't understand detachment. Like, to me, detachment is like, okay, I'm going to disengage from what's happening and take a moment for myself, right? And in some cases that's correct, but also detachment is being detached from the outcome of the situation and actually observing what's happening. And that's a concept that I didn't understand. Taking it back to what you said a minute ago, the book, The Games People Play. Ooh, I don't know if you've read it or not.
Wait a minute. You're saying there's a book called The Games People Play? Yeah. I've never read that.
Oh, baby. You want to talk about becoming self-aware of your own shit? Oh, becoming the games people play.
Hold on, I'm pulling this up on Audible.
It's on Audible. It's on get it on Amazon. Also, a quick way. I don't know. This is not necessarily a plug or anything, but there's a program called Shortform, and that's what I use in my company for like quick digesting of books. It's like a one-page summary of a book, and we'll have discussions about it with the team, like what they thought, how it was good, and how it was bullshit, and all that kind of stuff. This is one of the books that we did. That in return made me actually go and audible the book. But it's called The Games People Play, and they talk about certain things, whereas the mind is formulated with three things: the child, the adult, and I'm gonna fuck up the last one. Child, the adult, and us, right? The person that you are. The child is everything that's happened to you in the past, right? Your experiences, your knowledge, the things that your parents told you, all of it. That's the child piece. How we acted as a child. Disassociation, disattachment, love, all of those things that happen when we get in an altercation with somebody that we're close with. The adult is the mind that wants to take over in the situation and say, "Hey, you're acting kind of out of character. You're da da da." The person, the voice that kind of says, "Hey, calm down," or whatever it is. You're acting this way. The us part is like a combination of the two that we don't really perceive. It's like the subconscious piece of what we're doing, if that makes any sense. And in a situation where, whether it's a spouse, whether it's a friend, whether it's at work, whether it's any sort of relationship that you have even with yourself, right? The relationships that you have, it's a concept that I'm going to do this because I know this puts this reaction in place, right? So, James, whatever, I don't know how I'm going to formulate the actual circumstance there, but I'm going to say something that I know that if I act this way, I'm getting a reaction out of you because of that, right? Like, James, I hate you, right? Your reaction would be like, whatever I'm looking at. I know what I'm looking for, so I act a certain way. And then that self conversation that you have, like, why am I acting that way? Why am I doing this? That you normally don't have, and that, or maybe you ignore it. That person that flies off the rails, and they know they're going to get a reaction out of their family members, and then they come back to you and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I got upset because you slammed the door," and not actually taking ownership of them being upset. The game. So it's a good book to become self-aware of your own games that you play with other people and how there's healthy games and there's also unhealthy games. So that's another good book.
Very cool. I like it.
I just went down the weeds. I apologize.
So let's take away from this. Read some books, explore some books, talk about it with people and get them engaged on books. And then if it's a book that really speaks to you, don't consume it just once. Go back to it.
Yeah. And then be willing to share that book and have fun. Like, I think that's one of the more important things is if you find a book that impacts your life, like Extreme Ownership, like 7 Spiritual Laws of Success, or whatever it is, maybe it's a novel, and you were able to pull something out of it. It's important to maybe jot some notes down on the side of the page, maybe highlight some stuff. Go through the process of actually consuming the knowledge and the retention that's the other half of reading. Right?
Yeah.
Read books just to read books.
Yeah.
Not actually consume and retain the knowledge that's being passed.
Yeah. I think reading some fun books too. I mean, that's important as well. I mean, it opens up your vocabulary. I mean, it helps with a ton of things, your grammar, all that. I mean, it's a great idea. I mean, every year I don't read a lot of fiction. I don't know. I'm so fascinated by like nonfiction stuff. Like one of my favorite books is Sapiens. I mean, it's just talking about human history and stuff and how they think we developed. It's just cool. It fascinates me. I'm not big into fiction, but usually at least once a year I read Catcher in the Rye. I love that book, man. It's just a fun story about this kid that's just like trying to figure out life and he's like in his head constantly. It's just an interesting book to me. I read it. What? Catcher in the Rye. Yeah, Catcher in the Rye. It's an old book. I think it's from like the I don't know what year it was published. Like I think maybe in the 40s or something. But it's a great book. It's a really famous book, and I enjoy it. So but like there's nothing wrong with finding. To me, okay, I spend a lot of time in like self-help books, but I could go to something that's history based and get a lot out of it. Like the Benjamin Franklin book, man, I really enjoyed that. His biography. There's a lot you can pull, and it doesn't have to just be self-help books.
Yeah, one of mine is Of Mice and Men.
Oh, that's a great book.
And it's a great super quick read. You can knock that thing out in a couple hours.
Yeah,
but it's one of those books that the end can be taken in so many different ways that it's such an important moral code and being able to understand somebody. So like even having a conversation about that can open up a dialect that you may not have had with that other person. Yeah. 100%, man. I think this is a good conversation. And also know when a book doesn't connect with you, it's okay to put it down.
100% agree, man. I used to think I'd have to finish a book, and all I was doing was just killing my want to read something I would enjoy. It don't speak to me, man, especially if it's any kind of self-help book or business, anything like. I'm tossing that sucker to the side, man.
Yeah. That took me a minute to actually realize that, because you can go down an entire book and be like, I got what I needed out of it in the first 6 chapters.
Yeah.
You finish the book and you're like, I just wasted a month of reading or whatever it might be. Like, it's okay to put a book down.
I can't remember who it was. I mean, it was somebody very successful. I can't remember if it was one of the authors we had on. I don't want to say a name. I think I know who it was, but he was talking about how he doesn't even start a book front to back. He's like, I jump around in it.
Yeah, that was the cat who wrote Profit First.
Yeah, I was thinking it was Mike Michalowicz. I just didn't. I feel really confident it was him. He talked like I don't really care. Like I like to read what the chapters are and then go to the chapter.
Yeah,
and just read about it. Like, you can consume it however you want. If it helps you in the sense of maybe detaching for a moment and get some enjoyment out of it, or teaching you a lesson, whatever. Like, consume it however you want. You don't think twice if you want to flip through the 100 different channels or movies on Netflix. And you're just numbing your brain when you're doing that shit. That's pure entertainment. So like, why does you learning something have to be painful?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be.
And look at Audible. Like there's a reason that you can get an Audible. You can get an Audible account for free and buy a book per book. Like there's many ways to consume knowledge, and podcasts are great because you get to see a form of a conversation, but there's nothing that replaces gaining knowledge yourself from books,
Yeah.
from the conversations that people have. Like there's something to that.
Yeah.
But, I think we've dropped it. So
Yeah.
my next thing is the monk that sold his Ferrari or something along those lines. I gotta look at what it is, and then Atomic Habits.
Nice.
Those
All
are
right. Well, hey, look, if y'all got a book y'all suggest to us, I'd like to hear about it. I bought both of those books just now through Audible that Addison mentioned, because I like to consume it through Audible.
So we appreciate you. We enjoy the fact that you listen to us. You get a little tickle in your panties from hearing my voice, even when it gets real.
I don't hear shit you're saying.
You didn't hear anything?
No.
Okay, good, because that got weird.
Okay.
We appreciate you. It means a lot that you listen and that you share this stuff. And that this podcast has grown the way that it has, and it means a lot. And we're able to but able to touch many people and inspire people to do certain things that maybe they never even thought about doing. And that's my goal in life, is to inspire people to be inspired. And this is one way that we get to do that. And I appreciate you. And do not forget to go over to Origin USA and JockoFuel.com. Put in the code GRIND10, get yourself 10% off when you order something. Anything you need to say, James?
Nope, you covered it.
Got it.
Grinder out.